Hi, I'm Laura Flanders of The Laura Flanders Show. Watch every week on Free Speech TV, Link TV, YouTube, or if you're in New York, CUNY TV. Prefer to listen? Subscribe to the free podcast at lauraflanders.org. I end every week with a commentary. I call it the F word. Here's this week's. Can it happen here? Absolutely it can, even in a liberal bastion. A few weeks ago, a handful of white supremacists marched into a bookstore in Washington, D.C., temporarily disrupting a talk by Jonathan Metzl, author of Dying of Whiteness, How the Politics of Racial Resentment is Killing America's Heartland. To put this in context, this was politics and prose in hippish DuPont Circle during an anti-racist book festival on the same day that a 19-year-old white supremacist shot up a California synagogue, killing one person and injuring 3 others. Around the same time, 2 members of the same group, calling itself the American Identity Movement, dressed up in clown suits to disrupt a story hour for kids led by drag queen performers at a New Orleans public library. These aren't isolated events. The Washington Post reports that white nationalists have been targeting bookstores and libraries across the country for a while, in one instance going so far as to threaten to burn the store down. Elsewhere, progressive groups are facing regular threats of violence and intimidation on campus. For example, in Portland, where white so-called patriot groups have targeted meetings of the DSA and the ISO and defaced an office of the IWW. It's not the hate that's new. It's the apparent sense of entitlement. Today's hate groups aren't flying by night. They're out in plain sight, and not just in the media's backwaters, but in the nation's capital. As Metzl put it, today's racist bullies seem especially emboldened, and social media is a big part of that. In person, 2 guys in clown suits, or even half a dozen with a megaphone, aren't much of a threat, but in social media, stunts like these appear bigger than they are. Uploaded to the web, videos of the book protests prompted messages of praise on YouTube and much online chatter from right and left. Zapped around the web, the intimidation factor is amplified, and potential followers are egged on. All of which makes an international initiative to curb the spread of hate online at least worth paying some attention to. The Christchurch Call, a global pledge coming out of New Zealand, is a commitment to work with tech companies to halt the spread of extremist content. It's far from complete, but it is a start. The U.S. should sign. President Trump hasn't, of course. He sees no problem. You can always write to me, tell me what you think. We love to hear from you, and I get back to you as soon as I can. That's Laura at lauraflanders.org.